Hi, everybody. I'm
Uh,
Katrina Raspel, and I'm here to introduce your hostess for this channel, and that's Shannon McLaren
Shannon McLaren from the Healing Tree.
from the Healing Tree. And I get to do this because I am the co-owner of Crossroads, and Crossroads is the absolute proud host of the Healing Tree. They're a very integral part of what we do in the magical community. And today we're going to talk about a very important topic that Shannon is just the expert on. And we were brainstorming a couple months ago on what to have for her December class, or was it November? November, because it was before Thanksgiving.
November, yeah.
About what to have for that class. And we really decided that you guys really needed some help with managing those difficult holiday encounters.
Mm-hmm.
And she is wonderful with her grounding and shielding techniques. You know what? I'm blinding you. I'm going to take off my glasses because the light's coming through in from the angelical host that stands behind us. And it's blinding you, and God help you folks. Anyway, so we're going to talk to Shannon about some holiday maneuvers that will help you get through Christmas and Yule and the times that you're spending with your family. If your family is, in fact, how can we put it? Challenging. Is that a good word?
That's a perfect word.
Perfect word. Talk a little bit about some of the things people bring to you that are challenging for them energetically.
Well, there's the people that have, a difficult relationship with their mother or a difficult relationship with their father. That's just kind of hard on a daily basis, not to mention a holiday. Mm-hmm. There's maybe somebody that's coming that it could be a friend of the family that you don't particularly like, or you had a falling out, but nobody wants to exclude anybody, so everybody's coming to this one event, and I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So those are for holidays. That's kind of the, there's that, and then there's also, we just lost Grandpa last year.
Oh,
this is
that's
the first year that
grieving
we don't
holidays,
have him.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting is that the second year
seems
to somehow
somebody
be
just
worse.
said that to me yesterday. A
Really?
friend who lost their spouse said the second year is so much worse than the first one.
And I'm not quite sure why that is, but it's I think it's actually kind of you're not in shock.
And it might be the really gone effect.
Yeah, like this is like the second time, kind of thing. Yeah.
This is the new normal.
Yeah.
It's not having.
Yeah. So those are the kind of the issues that I.
And then we've got the abuser situation.
Yeah.
That is rough. That's hard to handle.
Right. Yeah, those are.
Yeah. And a lot of times I've found in my practice that we have parents, especially, we have a generation, that's my generation, in fact, that are the new parents.
Right.
And then we also have, some of us still have parents living. But I think my generation was kind of the tail end of the ones that really don't think they should have to be accountable. I mean, we entered into the 80s and the 90s a lot of accountability. And so, but parents that were parenting in the 50s and the 60s and into the 70s just have that feeling of, well, I'm the parent, you don't question me.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's a real lack of accountability for the way that you harmed people.
And here's the other thing is that in previous generations, even the one before yours, if there was anything that is now determined in this day and age of that's abusive, it wasn't considered abusive then. It was considered disciplining your children. Yes. So if you go to that generations or your generations or the one before and say, I want to talk about the abuse, they're going to go, I didn't abuse you. What are you talking about?
Right.
Because it's like, that's
what
not
abuse.
Yeah. And then if you've been abused, then it's very invalidating of, well, you were there, you know what happened, how come you don't think that? And so
you beat me with a board.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to just be okay with that because you don't think it was abuse.
Right. Yeah. And it's the terms so when it feels like gaslighting, kind of.
It really does.
And
it's like cultural gaslighting.
Kind of, yeah. So when that happens, when you're going to go to a holiday function and that's taken place in the past, that just makes it even harder.
Right.
And honestly, what I believe in situations like that is you simply say, no, I'm not coming.
Sometimes you do have to do that. And sometimes it's even a matter of a person, say they were sexually abused by Uncle Bob. And
they say Uncle Bob.
I don't have to say.
No, it's Uncle Bob.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of a name that won't be triggering, but everybody's got uncles, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, Uncle so and so abused me, or Aunt so and so
Mhm.
sexually abused me. I didn't feel comfortable telling anybody.
True. Yeah,
And so now I have to go to this big family function and be there with them when I never see them any other time in my life.
Mhm.
Or there's also what you were talking about, kind of alluding to, the thing where I don't ever go see my family because it's uncomfortable, because it's weird, but I'm pressured into doing it because it's a holiday, because it's a certain day that certain people celebrate. For some reason, need to go there and feel uncomfortable.
Right. Well, and there's the, I mean, I would suggest that you say no if you can, but in the circumstance of nobody knows why I would be saying no, then, you have to figure out a way that you're going to muster through this day. And that's not always easy to do, but there's some tools that you could.
And there's words you can use, like you can say, I would really like to be there, and still be truthful.
Mhm.
I'd really like to be there, which you would for the people you care about,
Mhm.
but I'm just not feeling well today.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put that out there amongst everybody else. You don't have to say I'm not feeling physically well and lie about being sick, but I don't feel well.
Well, and if you say I don't feel well and I don't want to put that out there to everybody else, they'll assume that you're sick and you don't want to get everybody else sick.
And that's not your responsibility, what they assume.
And you can just go ahead and let them.
Right. And you can just say, I'll be there to see you next week. Oh, you're not going to get to see blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well,
that's too bad.
Don't want to get them sad.
Well, let's make this up like next week or something. That's a great idea.
Or don't want to make them sad.
That's a really, that's a really good idea as well.
And we can also, if you wanted to go to the extreme of coming up with other plans and saying, well, I would love to be there to see you, but I've got this going. I've got another thing going on.
Yeah. And so, and one of the things is in situations like this, no is a super hard thing to say.
It is.
And because it is, and if you're empathic on top of that, it's even harder because then you can feel all the disappointment and you have to be just like, I can feel your disappointment and that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and disappoint you. And saying no is a really big self-care statement, but there's also things that you can do if you're not going to say no, or say it's not quite that extreme. It's just uncomfortable. Then you can, there's a list of things that you could do to prepare for that. One of the things for that is get sleep.
That's really big. And if you're struggling with this, it's hard to sleep.
Well, yeah. So you want to go, you want to make sure that you're not tired. You want to make sure that you haven't been drinking or using recreational drugs before you go, so that you're nice and centered.
Which that really sounds like a great idea if you're going to be dealing with a stressful situation. But you're saying that could really sabotage.
Well, because let's say, okay, I'm going to go be around Uncle Bob tomorrow, and I can't stand Uncle Bob.
Bob.
And Uncle Bob gets a bad rap.
He does.
So
that's why he spells his name backwards.
He does. He's spelling it. So I'm going to drink, and I'm just going to relax myself so that I can be relaxed and go to sleep. Except for energetically, what you're doing is you're energetically putting yourself into a challenged position.
True.
So, and this is what when I had the class, what I said was, get sleep, make sure you're not drinking or using anything else before, and the day of, don't drink either.
True.
Don't do things either, because you want to be able to have clear mind and not, say anything that you'll regret or anything like that. And you are energetically weaker, but have a complete plan that when you get home, you have got the bottle, you've got whatever. So I mean, it's like you're scheduling it.
And when you're in the moment, if you're drinking, you're always at risk of everybody's holiday becoming F you, Uncle Bob.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, but and then, I mean, what we're going to talk about in a minute is also the energy that you're going to protect yourself. And if you're drinking, or if you're tired, or if you're using something else, you are not in control of your energy.
And that's really what you need. Otherwise, you can revert back to that fight or flight, just being wide open.
Right. Well, and you are actually walking into a battle.
True.
Without any armor on.
And sometimes without the other person knowing there's a battle.
Right. Yeah. And so you want to do all of the things to make that day successful. Another really fun one that I also like to say is, so you stay sober and you observe everything and you watch it all, and you have got you beforehand get up somebody that you're going to call when you get home, and so that you can tell all of these funny stories. You are not going to believe what my grandpa did.
Yeah,
that's
good.
And
like
so
that.
So you're watching and you're kind of like taking these mental notes for this comedy show that you're going to present to your friend when you get home. And then Aunt Pat said this, or
Aunt Pat did it.
Aunt Pat did it. Pat said something.
And Uncle Bob.
And Uncle Bob. Yeah.
It was Uncle Bob's wife.
Yeah. So you want to be able to go in fully grounded and present. So you're like, if you think about marching into battle, you don't want to go in like this. You want to go in. I'm good.
Right.
I'm not hiding.
On top of this. Yeah. And timing could be good too. You don't have to be there the second it starts and stay until the last person leaves.
Exactly. And and you can say, well, I need to go do this, or I need to do that, or my friend really wants me to come by, so but you're my family, so I'm going to be here, and then I'm going to spend the evening of whatever,
right,
over there or something like that.
So here's a challenging thing in that regard, and I hadn't thought to kind of discuss this with you beforehand, so this is kind of an off the cuff thing. What if it's in-laws that are making you uncomfortable? That's dicey. That's really hard. And so I'm guessing you would have to have that difficult conversation with your partner beforehand to say, hey, I need your back on this.
Yeah. Well, so if you make an agreement, you can have signs like how like in baseball, like they have got signs of this is,
like the queen sets her purse on the table when she's ready to leave. And that's everybody's sign to all of her people to gather around and get her out of there.
Right. Yeah. So something like that. Yeah. So if I'm over here and I'm tugging on my ear,
do you see
I'm
me tugging on
my
ear?
Or come over here and save me. That conversation. Or you make a plan of, if it's your in-laws and you have family in town, this is a nice escape, because you can say, well, we wanted to stay here with all of you, but then I've got my own family that I want to stop by and see. So then you can split early.
Right.
Even if you're not going, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So, but yeah, and if your spouse, your partner, or whoever, thinks that their family is fantastic and you have a different opinion on that, you can just simply say, okay, but this is when I want to leave. Right. Or
have fun.
Bye.
I'll be here in my jammies.
I've actually done that before. When I've said, you go have Thanksgiving over there because I'm not coming with you.
Yeah, I need to protect my mental health.
Right.
But I want you to be happy with your family.
Go. Everybody has, like, we know how to deal with our families, and like somebody else, like my in-laws, like it's challenging for me at times because I didn't grow up with you. I don't know how you deal, kind of thing. So I think that you can hopefully have a partner that's supportive. And so you can get out.
It's tough too when you want to be supportive for your partner and you really get where they're coming from, but oh my gosh, you just want to see your family.
Yeah.
And so that's when you have to have those difficult conversations about how are you going to honor what they're feeling and how are you going to support your partner both ways. So it's just about communication.
Yeah,
really.
It's very much about communication.
Very much so.
And then there's the energetic stuff that you.
So go on. Can you unpack that a little bit?
So when So I mean, like everybody's, I assume everybody. So there's the tool of white light, and people say, okay, surround yourself with white light, but I do it a little bit differently. So if you have a white light that's inside your chest, what you want to do is you want to make it really big and it pushes everything else out. And an easy way to see that is if you breathe in, your little ball goes like this, and then when you breathe out, it contracts and pushes everything out. So you're physically doing something. So you go. And then it pushes everything out. And it seems really simple, but it's actually pretty profound, because what you're doing is you're pushing other people's energy away from you. And we don't often realize how often everybody else's energy is impacting us. Lots of people, everybody hears the term empathic, but you don't know how to deal with it. So I'm empathic, and I feel everybody's energy, And that's when you're getting angry or really, really tense around people and you were just fine.
So from what you've told me and what I've learned from you, there are so many people who are empathic and don't have a word for what they feel.
Right. Well, they're called sensitive, overly sensitive. You're being just dramatic. Why can't you just be like everybody else, kind of thing. And if you're empathic, you have special needs. You honestly do. There's been scientific studies that have seen how empathic people vibrate differently.
Wow.
And so it's real.
Yeah. And to interrupt real quickly, not long after this video, we're going to have another video that is specifically about being empathic and ways to manage that. But this is so important at the holidays that if you even slightly suspect that might be, if you relate to that feeling, that you take care of yourself.
Well, and even if you're not empathic, being around all the energy of all those people, you can still feel that. It's like when you're in a crowd and there's all these people and you go home, you're like, oh man, that was exhausting. There were all those people. And it's kind of the same thing. So you want to basically, with the white light, you push it out, you make a kind of bubble around you.
Right.
And then there's lots of other things that you can do to strengthen your bubble. One of my favorite ones is the mirrors facing out. So if you make your bubble and you do some creative visualization of mirrors that are facing out, that way with the intent that if energy is coming at you, it reflects back away from you. So it's that's a really nice one that can help when you're
right on
in hard situations.
Yeah. So that would even include going shopping. Going shopping is hard for empaths.
And especially now. So what I say about going shopping is try to go when everybody else is at work. Try to go early in the morning or late at night. Don't go at peak hours. It's insane. When I was first opening it up and I didn't have a word for what I was, I went into a store and felt everybody. Saw, your dead dad following you behind you. I got so panicked, I thought I was going to vomit. I ran out. It felt like I was having a panic attack. Got to my car, I was fine.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like, okay. And I'm like, so online shopping is like
the way to go.
Awesome. Because you don't have to deal with all of that.
I really think that is why online shopping exploded as much as the convenience that it's about being able to be successful shopping and not have to deal with the crowds.
Well, absolutely. I mean, because honestly, I would rather go and look at something and check it out, and read the box, and go, well, how do I really feel about this, or and then buy it. Or if you're shopping for clothes or shoes, you want to try them on. But I'll take my chance on returning stuff.
Absolutely, and they make it so easy to do that. They really do.
Yeah.
So I really think that it's amazing that we can have people that go to a big family event or go to a shopping experience and say, oh my gosh, I was so exhausted. There were so many people. There was so much energy. And you have another person who comes and does it and says, that was so fantastic. There were so many people and there was so much energy. People just have different needs and respond so differently.
Yeah, and my mom she's absolutely an extrovert. She loves to get up and go shopping and let's go do this, and being around all the other people energize her.
Wow.
And it drained me and my dad. We're happy to stay home. My sister and my mom can go out shopping and have a great time. My dad and I will stay at home and watch movies and be super happy.
I love that. There's so many things that we do to celebrate this time of year, to be close together, to draw in together with our loved ones. But oh my gosh, there's so many things that we do this time of year.
Yeah, there's
church functions and social functions and work parties and just, oh my gosh, it seems like all the time you're having to buy another stupid white elephant gift.
Right.
And it's stressful too, buying gifts for people. Even though it feels great, you have that wonder if, oh gosh, are they going to re-gift this next year or just push it in a closet?
Well, and I think that's part of the problems that you feel when you're out in shopping, because there's the tension of I've got to find the right gift. I have spent so much money this holiday season. I hope I can make my mortgage,
Right, right.
kind of thing. So it's and then there's the, I wish I could buy all these things, but I can't.
Yeah.
And that's a horrible feeling
That's
too.
tough when you got kids, especially.
Yeah, especially, so there's, and I mean, you don't know if somebody just lost somebody. There's all of these emotions, and they're so high right now. And so it's and that's why I started off with get sleep.
That's so, and good nutrition.
Yes,
lots of water.
Eat good, because if you pay attention to how you feel after you're eating really good food, you're more energized.
That's true. That's true.
So if you're drinking a lot of water, you're getting good night's sleep. You're eating really good before you go into a stressful situation. You're gonna do better.
That's so true. That's really so true.
Yeah, and it's basic stuff, but it's it's worth noting.
The last thing I want to talk to you about is probably one of the most emotional parts of it. And this goes into your departed soul healing talents that you have. And for any of you who haven't experienced one of her departed soul healings, it's such an amazing thing to be able, when you have unfinished business with someone who has the audacity to die before you get that worked out. You have such a talent for just reaching out to that person, inviting them in. You're a mediator, really, to say, well, they say this and they say this. And I love how you just will say, no, that's not true. When the person will be giving you information about, and they did this and this, and the person goes, no, yeah, you did. Yeah, I did. Okay.
Well, and I mean, I've heard this term, it's called psychic amnesia.
Yes.
Where I say, this is what they're telling me. Oh, that didn't happen. Okay, that's what they said. And
then they're a liar.
They're lying. So are you sure? Maybe, why don't you go ahead and write that down? Because it might,
John Edwards is really good with the.
I know, he's like, no, this is what happened. He's like, no, So
you are wrong, person in the audience.
No, think about it. I'm right.
I'll be here all night. Just keep thinking.
And then he told a story about, he was talking about something, and the person was like, no. And he's like, yes. And this went on for like 10, 15 minutes. And then they finally was like, the person was like, oh, do you mean my cousin? And the whole audience was like, okay, you've just wasted 10 minutes.
We could have done 3 meetings in that.
Yeah.
So. But what I really want to talk about with the departed soul thing, which is really big with this, is, like you were saying, we really feel the presences of the people that we lost, that we have lost on this physical realm when we're having holidays. How can we better connect with the departed during this time?
So now I think that you can do this at home. If not, because you're probably not going to be able to do this at mom and dad's house. But I actually was just talking to somebody about this. Make them an altar.
Oh, I love that.
Because then you have a place that you can go and say, I miss you. And you can light a candle for them just to say that I'm remembering you. And you have a place where they are. And here's the other thing that's really good about that, is that you have a place for your grief to sit. Because if you don't have a place for your grief to sit, it's
going to go everywhere.
It's also going to go in your body, into the weakest point in your body, and it's going to sit there. I find grief in people's bodies all the time. Yeah. And my arm hurts. Oh, I'm digging around it. Oh, look, there's grief in here.
True. That's very true.
And it'll settle in.
Yeah.
So first you want to have an altar where that you can have a place for them. The other thing is after death communications is something. There's a book called Hello from Heaven that's done all this research on it. But you're going to feel presence. And instead of saying, oh, I'm just making it up, they're there.
So it's a different kind of Christmas presents.
Yeah, it's yes, exactly. And
You're welcome.
And it's often overwhelming sometimes to think that grandma's here. But if you stop, and if you can kind of put your grief on hold for just a second and feel grandma's sending you a bunch of love. Grandma's perfect. There's nothing wrong with grandma, and grandma's really happy, and grandma's coming to join you as well.
True.
And look for signs. Are there feathers? Are there pennies? Are there boats? Is it butterflies?
Smell the cologne.
And when you smell something, that's something that they do a lot. When they'll send out smells. My friend always smells roses, and she knows that her grandma's there. So it's I make a spot for them. And if your family is the kind that would be willing to do that, set a place for them at the table.
That's
and
good, yeah.
and then you can tell stories about them and invite them in, and you'll feel them. Stuff will happen, and it's cool. You'll feel stuff.
It's also tough when you've lost people and they're still living. Like when you have a parent or a child you're estranged from, or you have, you're got somebody who's deployed overseas, and you're just not with them. That's really hard, and that's a kind of grief by itself, I think.
Well, and like my grandmother, she had Alzheimer's, and she had for
gone,
years, and so her body was here, and we were like, hey, we want to grieve you, but you're still here. So she wasn't at family get-togethers because she didn't know who we were, but so there's all kinds of different ways, but you can do much the same thing. You can still set a place for them if it's not too painful. Another thing that if you have like an estranged child or somebody that you're having a disagreement with, to actually make a list of the things that you're grateful for about that person.
So I like that. That's good.
If you just got divorced, and you're having Christmas dinner with your 2 kids, and it's just you 3. Well, you can still be thankful for your ex because your ex helped create these 2 beautiful children.
Right. And if you have good memories as a family, it's even if we're hurting, it's so important that we keep those good memories alive for the kids. I remember when we went to this zoo and we did this and we did that.
Right. Yeah. So if you can find something to be thankful for about that difficult relationship, it takes the sting out of it because you're still having gratitude instead of anger, or
that's fantastic.
You can change it.
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So Shannon, thanks so much for talking to us about those things.
Thank you for talking to me.
I feel ready, for the challenges of the holidays, and I'm excited to use some of the things that you've talked about, and I love it. What I want to say to all of you is subscribe.
Hit like too.
I'm going to, I don't know where the button is, but somewhere around here there's a button that says subscribe and like and thumbs up for what Shannon does and the great information that she shares. Do not judge me as an interviewer, judge her as a subject.
And if you leave any comments, I will absolutely respond to you. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and comment and I'll respond.
And you can find her at sacramentohealingtree.com.
Right.
That's her website. You can also go to crossroadsoccult.com for our store for what we do together.
Yep.
And most importantly, Thursday night.
Is
What's Up, Witches? That's our broadcast where we get together and talk for a full hour about ridiculous things and important things and wonderful things.
Yeah.
And every other week, we do tarot readings for you at no charge. So be sure and check in and see us. And also be sure and check out the Empath video that's going to be posting very soon. And thanks again, Shannon. It's a joy. Thank you for being here.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.